Hi everyone, welcome to our YouTube live. I see that people are just joining in, so we'll give them a couple of minutes to join. If my audio and video is very clear to you, type CL in the chat box, guys. Type CL in the chat box if my audio and video
Hi
is very
everyone,
clear.
welcome to our YouTube live.
I see that people are just joining in. So, some of you already know me, but for people who are meeting me for the first time, my name is Sajana Binil, and I'm the founder of Interactive Learning Solutions, and I'm the main business analysis coach here. So we help you move from your non-IT role into an IT business analyst role, and we coach you on business analysis, processes, techniques, and the requirement lifecycle. So today's session, guys, is going to be a lesson from our business analysis blueprint course, where I will walk you through data flow diagrams. So people from non-IT roles have been finding it very difficult to draw data flow diagrams, and I've been receiving many requests about how to create data flow diagrams. So I thought we'll do a YouTube live on that. So be very focused on what I'm going to talk about data flow diagrams, and not only learn the concepts, but you're actually going to draw a data flow diagram along with me. So we have a couple of students joining us in Zoom, and this data flow diagram concept, they are going to learn along with you all. So people who are watching this YouTube live on their mobile, quickly switch on to your laptops, because we'll be using a tool, and it will be better if you draw this data flow diagram along with me. Okay. You can definitely watch the recording and do it later, but then it's better that you drew it along with me, so that you can post your questions as and when it comes to you. So first, I'm going to play you a recording that will explain you the components of a data flow diagram, understand the components and how to draw one, and then we'll solve a case study in which you will be doing a data flow diagram along with me. Okay. So before I start the video, is my audio video very clear to each one of you? Type CL in the chat box, guys. Give me a confirmation if the audio video is very clear. So because then we'll switch on to a data flow diagram. A data flow diagram shows the flow of data or information within a system. So it is a graphical way of showing how data is actually going to flow within your system. So let's see what are the notations used in a data flow diagram. So with respect to symbols or notations, you will see two types of notations being used worldwide. One is the Gain and Sarson notation, and the other is the Jordan and Code notation. So there are some slight differences between the symbols that are used in both these structures. Gain and Sarson notation uses a square-shaped symbol to depict a process, whereas Jordan uses a circle to depict a process. Data stored pretty much remains the same. It just has an extra line included in case of Gain and Sarson notation. External entity is depicted using the same symbols in both the notations. Data flow arrows are shown using the same symbol in both the notations. So you can use either of these, you can follow either of these notations as it is followed in your project. In this example, we will follow the Jordan notation. So if you are a beginner to data flow diagrams, I suggest as a first step, you should write a textual representation of the end-to-end process. A textual representation of the process helps you identify who are the external entities, what is the process involved, what are the data stores, and how exactly the data is flowing between them. So let's look at this with the help of an example. So step one obviously is to write down a quick summary of the process. So be very attentive to this particular step, guys. These are the kind of case studies which are frequently asked in interviews. They give you a process, and they ask you to create a data flow diagram or a process flow diagram. So today we are focusing on data flow. These are different types of flow diagrams that a BA creates. Be very attentive to the process, and the way I have broken down the process in order to identify each of the components of the diagram is very essential, very important. So you note it down. As I'm breaking down the process, just note down how I have come to the conclusion that these are the external entities, this is the process. Because we will then break out into an activity where you have to identify these entities. Okay. So be very attentive, take notes.
Process. So here we have taken the example of a customer withdrawing money from the ATM. So the customer inserts a credit or debit card and enters PIN number in order to withdraw cash from the bank. Upon verification, the customer selects the amount to be withdrawn and clicks on proceed. The transaction is processed, which means the business rules are verified and the customer receives cash. A receipt is printed for customer and his account is debited. So let's identify what are the external entities in this process. So as it's quite obvious from this process, there are two external entities involved, the customer and the bank. Now let's identify what are the processes involved. The customer inserts a credit card, debit card. Inserts a credit card, debit card is a process. Enters a PIN number is another process. Transaction is processed. That again becomes one process. Transaction getting approved is another process. Customer receives cash is another process. Receipt is printed and account is debited. So we have identified these important elements in the procedure. Let's put a data flow diagram in place. So first I have placed the two external entities on two ends of the diagram because obviously they will access the system at two different times. Okay, so customer, bank, both in square shaped boxes. I will now try to put the processes together. Customer inserts card. He then enters the PIN number and the PIN number is verified. The customer enters the amount and the transaction is processed. When the transaction is being processed, it means a request is sent to the bank. Now, once the bank approves the transaction, the customer will receive cash and the receipt will be printed, and simultaneously the bank database will be updated, which means his account will be debited. So this is a very simple data flow diagram which will make you understand what are the symbols and how you actually need to articulate the flow. Once you are well versed with simple flows like this, you can start developing much more complex data flow diagrams.
Very simple to understand. Did you understand the different components that were shown? The external entities. We had can anybody type in the chat window? We had external entities. What else we had in a data flow diagram? Type in the chat window. Okay, process, external entity process, and then what we had? The data store. Yeah, the data store. Okay, three very essential components of a data flow diagram. So now I brought in a very simple case study so that people who are not from the IT world, each one of you have accessed the ATM. So you understand how the ATM works. So with the help of the example of an ATM software, you can create a data flow diagram that's very, very simple and easy for you to draw. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a case study. Like in every session, we solve a case study. So I will be sending you across a document in the chat window. And we will draw this data flow diagram together. We'll solve the quiz together. So if you look at the case study that's given to you, it talks about a retail company called as Shoppies, who's planning to automate its inventory management system. So there is an analysis technique that I often speak to my students about, which is a document analysis technique. So when you are reading crucial information, it is very essential for you to mark out, indicate with a marker very, very important information. So this project is all about automating an inventory management system. So their current process is manual and they are facing issues with tracking inventory levels, order management, and restocking. This is the problem area. Okay. Now, Shoppies wants a system that can handle stock tracking, purchase orders, supplier management, and customer orders. The business process is included over here. They have given details. And then from this business process, we have to identify different entities. First entity, let's talk about the external entities. from the business process that's given to you, which are a couple of external entities that you could identify? Yes, good. Customer and supplier, these are two entities, external entities who's interacting with the system. Now, your system will not be an entity. We are talking about external entities who are interfacing. Okay, customer and supplier. Now, tell me, what are the processes that you can identify? And go on highlighting this in the document that I shared with you, so that when you draw the diagram, it's easy for you. Tell me which processes are there. What are the processes you can see here? Yes, that's correct. So let's mark the first one that's come here. Customer places an order. Places an order is a process. What's the next one? Joel, please go in sequence. Otherwise, you will miss. You'll make a lot of misses if you jump from places an order to the purchase. System checks for availability of stock. If the stock is available, reserves the item. It reserves the item. If inventory is low, the system automatically generates. Okay, so this is the process. Generates a purchase order. When the new stock arrives, the system updates the inventory. Another process. Once the inventory is updated, system confirms the order. Another process. Prepares it for delivery. After receiving stock, the system generates a payment request to the supplier. So we can mention generates a payment request. Everyone clear so far? Type CL in the chat box if you are clear so far about what we have highlighted. Yes. If you go about creating a data flow diagram following the exact steps that I have demonstrated right now, data flow diagram will become very, very easy for you. Okay. The problem arises when beginner BAs are asked to create data flow diagrams in the project, and they have no clue how to start. So they go and read up some articles, and then they put some circles together, and they don't know what to put inside the circle, and they end up putting all wrong things. Okay. So the key, the step one, very, very important is, if your customer has not given these steps to you in writing, in my case, I have given this to you in writing. Some customers might give you, or some customers might not give you. If it is not given to you, have a meeting with him and you document it. So that will be your step one. Documentation of the process is the starting point for you to draw a good data flow diagram. So put it in textual format first. Don't jump directly to a diagram. You'll mess it up. Now we have understood the entities, the external entities, and the different processes. Now, what else is a part of a data flow diagram? External entities, processes, and then data stores, right? Data stores. Okay. What are a couple of data stores that you can understand by reading this flow? Inventory is very clear. Yes. Inventory management system is very, very clear. Stock is the inventory we are talking about. That's the inventory management system. That's when the new stock arrives, the system updates the inventory levels. It updates an inventory management system. So that's the confirmation of order. That's a good point. So you can see this order fulfillment. Once the inventory is updated, the system confirms the order for the customer. So that means there is a order management system. You can call it customer order management system or an order management system, right? You need to have a system that will manage orders placed by all customers. We identified two data stores here. Got it? So we identified two data stores. Our next step, guys, will be to draw this diagram together, and we are going to do that together. So for that, I'm going to give you this draw.io tool. Remember, guys, draw.io is a very basic tool. That's the reason it has minimum functionality. When you use advanced tools, you can draw much better diagrams. So everyone click on this link. Just type this link in your browser window, draw.io, which I typed here in the chat window, draw.io. And I'm going to draw this diagram. You just have to look at my screen and replicate it. Okay. And I'm going to go very slow so that you can follow me. But if you are stuck somewhere, watch the recording and complete the diagram. No worries. In the essence of time, we are not going to stop in between and check who have completed and who have not completed. I will go very slow so that you can stay with me. But it's a very simple diagram. It'll just take us a couple of minutes to draw this, since we have identified the components. So once everyone is on this particular screen, just give me a nod as soon as you can see the screen. When you type draw.io, you will come to the screen. Everyone with me? Type yes in the chat window, guys. You're with me. Okay, so that means we are ready to start. So here, you obviously click on create new diagram. Create new diagram, and from the left-hand side, just select flowcharts. You'll see different types of flowcharts here. Like I said, if you use advanced tool, you get much more categories over here. So let's select here the second type, which is cross-functional chart, because it does not give you an draw.io does not give you a separate option for data flow. And you can give a name to your diagram. Inventory management system. You can save it as an editable bitmap. That is a PNG file. And click on the create button, which is down. Just click on the create button that's below this pop-up. It will ask you for a location where you want to save it, and you can save it. Okay. Now we come to this particular screen. Here a sample process flow diagram is actually given. Let me just delete it so that I get a blank canvas to start. So the diagram that is there on the screen, just delete it. Just select it and delete it. Okay, so that we get a blank canvas where we can focus on. Now, on the left-hand side, you'll see a lot of notations here. You can pick and choose which one you want to use. So in our case, we start with external entities, right? So I put a box over here, a rectangle shaped box. So on the left-hand side, the first notation is a rectangle. So put the two entities that we identified, let's put that together. You see, whenever I drag a symbol to the canvas, it shows this blue line. What it's showing is alignment, so that you don't have to worry whether your alignment is correct. So let me say our external entities are customer. Here it's supplier. So we have two external entities. After that, I'm going to put my processes together. For that, I need circles. So let me put a couple of circles together because we have several processes, right? So I bring in several circles here so that I can use it. So people who are our senior members, you can proceed. I'm going very slow for the new members, but you can proceed to draw it faster. Now, in these circles, I'm supposed to write process. Every circle symbol in a data flow depicts a process. So I go back to my document, the Word document, where I have identified all of these yellow processes. Remember, identified all of this, and that's why I marked it so that I don't have to read it once again. That's the importance of marking it. When you mark it, you don't have to read it once again and identify it. So I pick up the first process and I go back to my diagram. Here, I just double click on this symbol and it allows me to type the text. So I just add places order. Again, what I'm going to do is go back to my document and collect the next. So keep doing that. Whenever I bring in the text, I will ensure that it is not loads of text that I'm writing. I don't want sentences in my boxes. I will make it shorter. So here, check stocks. Check stock. You see what else is there? Reserves item. What else do I have? I have generates purchase order. Continue working on the diagram, guys. If you're just watching my screen, that will not help you. Because in the interview, I'm not going to draw the diagram for you. So that's the reason I want you to complete this as a class activity. Or you can make it short form, generates PO. Next one, updates inventory. Then we have confirms the order. So I bring in one more circle. I need one more circle here. And prepares it for delivery. Then we have generates payment request. So I have added all of this together. And when you're doing this, don't worry about the sizes and everything. We'll adjust that later. About the formatting and all, you will see when we have finished it, it will look better. Everyone with me, have you completed? Have you reached this part where you have listed down all the processes in the circle? Very simple way of creating data flow diagram I'm showing you. Because like I said, most of the beginner BAs, they don't write the process down, so they are not clear how to do it. And some of them, even if they write the process, they are thinking about how to join the circles. So when I teach students, I tell them that do not think about how to join, which circle will join to another. Just first put the circles together, because that's your step. Bring all the entities together. External entities you have written, you have put all the circles together. Now our next step is to join them. Okay. Before I go ahead, has everyone reached so far? What do I do? What do I refer to? Yes, refer to the document. Simple. So go back to the documents, and without my help, you will be able to join it. So go ahead and join it. Customer places an order for products. So naturally, the customer as an entity, what you need to do is just highlight, just click on customer. It will show you these blue arrows. So you don't have to pull an arrow from anywhere here. You just need to click on customer because you want to join customer to places an order. Yes, this simple. Then when you want to join places an order with the next entity, next process, just click on the circle and you see a blue arrow here. As soon as you do a mouse over, you'll see a blue arrow here.
Or like here.
And you click, you just join it. And that's how you go about and joining it. So the system checks stock And if there is stock, then it reserves the items. But if there is less stock, it generates a purchase order, isn't it? So that means check stocks itself, the same thing should connect to generates purchase order also, because there are two outcomes here. Okay, the system updates the inventory levels. Next step in the process says confirms the order and prepares for delivery. So my confirms will come here. Confirms the order and prepares for delivery. Next step in the process is prepares for delivery. And then we have generates a payment request. When is that? After receiving the stock. Tell me if you see any mistakes, highlight that. Now, after receiving the stock, the system generates a payment request. That means it is not prepares for delivery that should connect to this. It's as soon as the inventory is getting updated, it should generate the payment request. That's how it gets connected. So you have to, in order to understand the flow, you might want to read it once again, why this is connected in this way. You can go through the flow once again, but this diagram still is incomplete. Why is it incomplete? What do you think is missing in this diagram? Correct. Supplier is not connected anywhere. And where do you think supplier should connect? So we have generates a purchase order to the supplier. Okay, so we connect this. What else is missing? We have connected supplier, the last entity also. What else is missing for this diagram to be complete? Yes, data stores. So where will the data stores fit in? Identify where the data stores will fit in this diagram. We need to add the inventory management system connected to check stocks, right? So we might not be having space. So we might want to move this a little to create more space. Many times it happens, guys, when you're drawing the diagram to identify, okay, one entity that has to be, there's no space for that entity. If you want to move all entities together, you just go Control A. Control A and just drag it. Then we have customer order management system. So I bring in this cylinder over here and try to connect, confirms order to the cylinder here. Now, what I can do to make my diagram a little more fancy and very presentable to the client, I can also add some colors or stylings. See, these are ready-made stylings that are there on the right-hand side. If you see, there is a style control. Some ready-made styles don't give these kind of colors. It's better to use these different darker shades. What I would ideally do is that once I select a particular style that I want, I will change the color of the entities, the different entities. This is your final diagram. And just within 10 minutes, if you see within 10 minutes, if you're drawing it with me, within 10 minutes, you have completed the entire diagram without any complexity. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our YouTube live. Like I said, this was one of the lessons in our blueprint course. Students in our blueprint course actually go through these practical sessions where they do practice along with me in the class. So if you are interested in joining our blueprint course, the link is in the chat window, guys. You can enroll for our blueprint course and join our Friday classes. Every Friday, we have classes between 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. where we teach you the entire requirement lifecycle all the modeling diagrams, and you work with a whole bunch of tools. So the link is in the chat window, and you can enroll yourself and join our next lesson. Together, we will draw the next modeling diagram. Thank you so much.